How do you connect with millionaires to grow your business? Change your life by subconsciously surrounding yourself with people with higher standards. This is quoted by the famous Tony Robbins. Did you know in the book of Proverbs 13:20 says, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm.
Hey, I'm Jason, and this is Ronnie B.
Yes.
Welcome to the Social Net Worth Podcast.
Today's topic is, how can participating in high-value networks and exclusive events provide opportunities to connect with millionaires and ultimately grow your business? Jason, this question is for you.
All right. I would definitely say, obviously, just networking is the whole purpose of this podcast that we're doing, right? As far as like your net worth, your network is your net worth. So the people that you surround yourself is the next level that you can grow to. So I feel like it's important to put yourself in new surroundings, especially like staying in the same space will keep you in the same area, the same level of business and things of that nature. You're looking for those that are further than where you are, where you can be able to learn little pieces of gems that they would drop along the way by being in their circle, you providing, you know, your value to them, but while they are also providing their value to you. So that's what I would kind of take away, you know, just as we jump into that. So like, what about yourself? Obviously, I know you're networking with a lot of, you know, top people and changing your circle constantly also.
For me, constantly, you know, in this business, you definitely have to constantly be mindful. I think that's the first thing, is to actually just be mindful of where you want to go in life, you know, and you also have to be mindful of, you know, are the group of people that I'm surrounding myself with, are they in the position that I want to be in? And my dad told me, he was just like, you know, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need a new group. So the goal is to never be the smartest person in your circle.
Yeah.
I think that's number one. And the way that you can actually get around new groups, because I find myself always, you know, trying to level up and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But the way that you do this goes back to the question, which is, you know, what events to actually attend. We know that for me, I'm in the luxury market. So working with high net worth individuals consists of, you know, going to auctions. Auctions is a good thing.
That's what I never thought of.
Yeah, auctions is, I'm a freak.
What type of auctions?
I'm a freak for art.
Okay, so art. Okay,
so art auctions is really good. You know, they have paintings that get sold for
Correct.
hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. And I didn't know that I really had a passion for art the way that I do, but I actually love art. Another one is to actually be a part of some clubs. So, for example, I just also got my membership with the yacht club. Mm-hmm. I'm such a boat girl. I love being on yachts. My dad.
I think every girl this summer wants to be on a yacht.
Well, no, I actually grew up on a yacht. So. Okay. So anyway, that's why I love DC, because you just have so many different millionaires and you have the water, and I just love being out there on the water, and it's a really good way to connect with high net worth individuals. Mm-hmm. Did you know that these yachts cost a lot of money?
No,
like even the baby boat. Yeah, the baby
prices.
Boats, right?
Yeah, they're definitely, I mean, you're going to pay like, you know, there's the bigger the yacht, it's like the bigger the yacht, the bigger the price, obviously, but they're definitely in the 200,000-300,000 when you see them really big ones. Like, it's a house on the water. I mean, when you really, you know, put it together, but also it's a status symbol. It's like when you get that, bigger than a G-Wagon, but when you get the G-Wagon or you get that Mercedes or you get that Rolls Royce, that's when you know you got the big yacht. So, I mean, you know, because I mean, honestly, they're not, it's a business, but it's not really a business. Most of them, they're not even renting these out. They're just status. Yeah, it's a luxury status symbol, but that's a great way to connect, because you're in these circles, right? I mean, I didn't think of the auctions. I mean, granted, art auctions, obviously, that's where a lot of millionaires protect their assets. And that's something we're going to get into, is kind of like how millionaires protect their assets and things like that, where art is one of those things that a lot of people don't know that you can protect your assets. That's why they're all there.
Well, do you know actually why they even attend these art auctions and pay so much for?
No, that's what you're going to tell us.
So what I found is that, when you go into these networking events to obviously rub elbows with these millionaires, is they're there for tax purposes.
Yeah.
Right? So the same way where you talked about the G-Wagon and the yachts and stuff, they're really not buying it just for the status of it, because like Warren Buffett, he could care less, right? He drives around in his old Cadillac and he lives in his old car, old house, so he say. And a lot of times they do this for tax deferring purposes or as a write-off. So you see that they'll buy these beautiful art pieces and it's essentially to write off their whatever it is for tax purposes.
Correct.
But what are some of your thoughts about that, and what are some other high networking events?
So I mean, obviously the art, it's a different level for sure. Obviously, you gotta, you're when you're at the point where you hiding money, you definitely, you up there, you hiding from Uncle Sam. So I mean, but there is definitely a lot of ways you can do that. Also, I think even just how as a small business you structure your business could help you. Me just transforming from like an LLC up to an S corp, or having multiple LLCs, learning that process and paying yourself as a W-2 employee. And then, putting all your expenses through the business and then just paying yourself what you need to kind of survive. It's not looking like much unless you really need to do something. So, I mean, that's one way, I guess, to protect it. Also, I mean, I think obviously, one of the big ones everybody would probably throw out there is golf, the golf course. You know what I'm saying? Getting out there, learning. So, I still got to buy my own pair of clubs because I'm left-handed. But, well, I don't get to borrow nobody's clubs because nobody's left-handed. But getting out there on the golf course, I have a lot of friends as we gotten older. That's where they are. And a lot of deals are done on the golf course. You're just sitting there, having a good time and, playing the game. But at the same time, they're talking about some of the big businesses deals. They got some of the connections they're making, things like that really, really go a long way. As well on, when you're on these, getting invited to these yachts and things like that. I think obviously that's more of an invite to get on somebody's boat. It's like going to their house. But you can definitely go into these golf tournaments and things like that and kind of show your talent, or just being around. I mean, being a caddy probably is still a way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You can still be around there or whatever. And then just events, I would say it's not just so obviously, millionaires, but high net worth or high income individuals like in the tech industry, in the nursing industry. So you get on the Eventbrite or our event where we're doing the social network event, which will be the social net worth event soon.
You are so okay. So Jason is saying so much right now, and I really want to piggyback off of like two things that you said. So, for example, one of the things that you mentioned about is the golf course tournaments, and obviously you actually have to put yourself out there. But what I really wanted to mention was the mindset, because I think a lot of people skip over the fact that you have to put yourself in the mindset of I'm worth being around high net worth individuals. You have to build that self-confidence within yourself. And I think a lot of people shy away from, not trying to rub elbows with millionaires because you don't know what to say. You don't.
Like they're looking at you a certain way, or whatever the case is.
But the truth of the matter is that these millionaires are no different. Outside of they're no different than me and Jason outside of let's just say, well, not outside of, because we definitely have work ethic. The only difference is their work ethic, and I think their mindset as well. So you literally have to change your mindset to even want to be associated with high networking individuals. So that's one of the things I wanted to say. Number two is you also need to learn. The more you learn, the more you earn. So for example, a really, really good example that Jason just gave that he's flew past was getting out of the LLC and upgrading to an S corp. A lot of people don't understand and are often misguided on the LLC, because when we log on to TikTok and Instagram, all you hear a lot of people saying is get an LLC. And an LLC will definitely mess you up. And if you are not around people that have experience, because I personally took a huge hit experiencing the downside of an LLC. And we know that LLC stand for limited liability. And that's what you are. You are a liability. You are a limited liability company. And it wasn't until I lost and paid so much money to Uncle Sam, and I vowed to myself that I will never.
Same. That was my biggest. So I had a really good year in real estate. I had my LLC set
Period.
up. Everything was coming through, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I was doing what most of us do. We get paid,
Yep.
and we just move the money over to our bank account. Like, okay, I'm gonna just move it over. And I'll pay taxes on it when I, kind of go.
Correct.
That is incorrect.
Incorrect.
So, super incorrect on how to do that.
Don't do that.
Then I actually tapped into it was a book called Tax-Free Wealth. So under the corporation of like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and everything like that. So I just kind of invested deep into learning in that. Paid a lot of money to get into it, but
Hold on. Let's not skip past that.
Yes.
Because when you
gotta pay to play.
Hello. Because a lot of people fail to realize that you have to invest into knowledge. College ain't free, right? But you need to go to the proper sources to understand life. College don't teach you life, baby. So I don't want you to skip past that. So please, if you don't mind, can you tell us how much?
Go into that.
Okay.
The School of Hard Knocks is a very expensive university.
Very.
I want to say I would have been like $10,000 to pay into it, but it taught me so much that has helped me grow through it, where it wasn't just like I'm paying $10,000 just to learn these things. Like it taught me about the five different realms or six different realms of wealth and how wealth is grown. And I guess I don't want to segue too far into that, but I'll go into that, a little later as the five realms. But it taught me about how structuring your business is the most important part. Just, you've probably seen the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the 4 quadrants, where you have employees, you have sole proprietors or self-employed and stuff like that. You have businesses and you have investors. Those are all different tax brackets. And when you're employed and self-employed, employed taxes is actually better than self-employed taxes, because self-employed is the highest tax. So, but we're going and making this money as an LLC. You're the owner of that LLC. Technically, you're just one entity. So it's not, as two. So you're the highest tax. But until you turn yourself into a business, that's the difference. So you turn yourself into an S corp, where that business is paying up to the S corp, and now you pay yourself across as a W-2 employee. So now you're getting the lower employee taxes, I would say, but your business is obviously getting the lower taxes because it's a business, and you're paying an employee. So now you're doing what the tax code wants you to do, as to build employment, right?
Yes.
Even though you're employing yourself. So you do all your expenses, all your cars, everything under that LLC. And then it pays to the S corp. That S corp comes over, pays you as a W-2 employee, and you just get what you need. Unless I was making something very low on paper for the longest until I needed to buy a house, and I was like, okay, I know I want to buy a house. I need to up my income to show that I'm making more money to qualify for the house, and then go back down so that way I'm not paying the taxes no more. So that's just one way. And we'll get into a lot of those conversations about S corps, LLCs, how to structure. But that was just, I guess, kind of touching on what you were saying, how to structure that. And I learned that all through the book Tax-Free Wealth.
Yes, and we appreciate you sharing that experience with us. Because I really want to insert my opinion in that statement that he made, because I did the exact same thing. I increased my income so that way I can qualify for my property, and I paid the highest amount that I would never pay again in taxes. I'm so serious, y'all, because that's going to be another story for a different episode. Right. But I think, so this is where my opinion comes in at, because when you qualify for a home, yes, a home can get you to the next bracket of of wealth where you want to be. However, with the economic changes that's going on in America, I tend to not advise my clients in a way where, if this house is going to cause you to be in a financial crisis, don't do it.
Yeah. No,
why are people forcing themselves? Stop forcing yourself to try to become a homeowner.
You're not ready.
Did you know that you can still become a homeowner by being an investor? I think it's so much better, in my opinion, to just be an investor. If you can be, because obviously there's stipulations that and requirements that go into that. But in this type of economic inflation, we know that the average price across America is $400,000, and we're not even talking about the DC area or those high metropolitan areas.
Across America,
across
which is very
America.
high. I mean, I thought it might have been 3. I thought it was like average 300, but 300, 400 regardless is still up there. Because, I mean, that's putting you at 22 to 28, $3,000 a month, possibly, depending on where you at.
Yeah, and I really think that's on the lower spectrum, because what I'm seeing now is like around 3,000 for a mortgage,
Yeah.
for average house.
So that kind of goes, I don't know, it's another segue, but that jumps into why having a good partnership or a good partner or a good relationship, a good spouse, that way it's there. You know what I'm saying? We're not even gonna get into the 50-50 lane and all of that, but it helps to have somebody that, brings it all together versus trying to do everything individually. But that's, again, investing in a crowd, in a group. You know what I'm saying? Even if 4 friends get together, I did see a story about 4 friends that got together. They put their money together and bought a multi-unit. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's a lot cheaper when we all put together 5,000, got to come up with 20. Now, yes, we have this asset. We hold on to it for a while. It's making us some money. But then, 2-3 years later, value has gone up. We refinance out of it, cash out. Now we got more money. Let's keep this property and go do it again. But we're 4 people that was able to do this together. So that network and your net, you know what I'm saying, growing your net worth, you know what I'm saying? So that really like plays a big role in thinking that mindset too, that you don't have to do it all on your own.
Correct. And that's one of the things that I really like about this economy. I mean, I know the economy is very, very bad, but I think that when you are faced with challenges, this is where you have to figure it out. The economy is forcing Americans, and I'm not saying that this is a great thing, right? But what I am saying that it gives you the opportunity to figure it out, right? So going back to what you said, and it again segues into networking, right? Or just partnering up with people, right? I think that partnerships is going to be, it has to be at the forefront of this economy, especially if you want to afford home ownership, afford investments, afford all of that type of stuff.
If you want to grow, man, you're going to need to network. I think that was going into this year. My biggest thing was networking to grow, because at this point, like, trying to do it on your own is not the route at all.
At all. And I think that especially our community, we have been trained to think like, individual. Like we have a big individual personalities all across our community, where it's just like, I got to get it on my own, when the people at the top are literally like collaborating
to the max. Like, so many, and it's like you learn when you get around other rooms and collaborations and things like that. You start learning like, oh, well, we just partnered on this one thing and y'all just did it. Like, and they just do it. And I was like, it's crazy, because when I first started on in real estate, my business partner, we've known each other, but we barely knew each other, and we was just both in the same space. Like, bro, let's just do it. Mm-hmm. And we didn't think about it. I mean, how this podcast came together, it wasn't like we had this long journey of friendship and things like that. We just thought about it. We was like, you on the same page, I am, we on the same mindset, let's do it. And I think a lot of people are waiting for the perfect time, perfect person. I got to put the perfect team together. When you find it, like, put the structure behind it, use it.
Yeah. It has to, just, if it makes sense, just do it. That's why Nike coined the phrase, just do it, right? And a lot of people put too much into preparation. And I'm not saying you don't prepare, right? But if you have an amazing idea about something and you have somebody that is willing to go in with you on that, that is so valuable that you can't put a price on it. So even this entire setup, to go back to what Jason was saying, this entire setup took us like 2 hours.
No, for real. And this is not even 2 hours, 2 weeks, because we've been gone from one setup to another, trying to move some things around, trying to find the right thing, trying to make it perfect. We done shot before, and it's like, it's just not there yet. So all of that goes into it, but it definitely, like you said, it plays a part in it. Like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just get it done. It's not going to be as perfect, but we're going to get it as close as we want to there. And I wanted to jump on something you were saying as far as like finding somebody that is in the same, wanted to do the same things as you, but understanding where you lack. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you may be great at, like me, I'm great at setting things up and, trying to plan things out and things like that. But you're a schedule person. You're hey, this is how the structure of things should go. This is the things we should implement. And all of those come together. So it's like having those strengths and weaknesses, not just in a podcast, but in a business. You know what I'm saying? If you're a numbers person and you're not a communication person, you need, yes, you run the back end, you run the numbers, you make sure everything crunches, but you need somebody out there that's on the front line that could talk to these different people, investors and things like that, contractors, and negotiate. Because, negotiating is a whole
Another thing,
talent.
right?
So I think all of those, like we saying, just do it and throw it together. But obviously, be mindful of who you just throwing it together. See where you lack, and does that person big you up?
I think, this is the thing, like what Jason is saying, what I'm hearing, right? Because you can hear the same thing and interpret it completely different, right? But I want you to understand how I'm interpreting what Jason is saying. What ultimately what collaboration is that, whoa, I see what you can do, and you ultimately see how you fit into whatever it is that they're doing. So for example, like when Jason and I got this together or whatever, you were saying so much that I was already like thinking, and I was just like, hold on. All right, I'm gonna just meet you at your house today.
Literally was like,
I would just meet you today. You know, where you at? We can go either to Panera Bread or where you at. You know, and ultimately, I kind of like saw where I can pick up. You know what I'm saying? So that's called value.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Because we always talk about networking, but I think that's what people lack. People don't understand where they actually can fit in and where they can provide value.
Agreed.
So what Jason is saying is, yes, we're going to collaborate. We're going to partner up. You want to meet people, but you just don't meet people if you don't and cannot add the value.
Correct. And then, yeah, exactly. And knowing your talents is one thing, but knowing your weaknesses, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, life, relationships, business, knowing where you lack at and how not only are you finding somebody to help you bring that up, but that person is helping you build that side of you too. You know what I'm saying? You're learning from them and vice versa. So I think that goes hand in hand, where you do bring value to that person where they may lack, and that person's bringing value back, but y'all are both growing and building together to get to the goal, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that goal is, and just continuously building, you know what I'm saying? So I think that is one of the bigger things that we kind of got to factor in, and not just, like you said, just throwing anybody together just because it's been your best friend forever. They may not bring value. You may be great friends, and that person may be your emotional value. They're your emotional value, but they're not your business value. They're not your, like, they're
Preach,
not your
Jason.
healthy growth value, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes some friends not even the emotional value. Sometimes they're your evil spirit value, you know what I'm saying?
They went there.
No, they help it bring you out. But you need all of those things. You need certain friends, and you don't need certain friends. But, you know, a lot of people do get caught up in the, oh, this is my best friend, this is who I should do it with, and it turns out bad.
Ooh. Jason be saying a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really be talking, you really be saying a whole lot of stuff. And as you're saying, like, each thing, I have like a million thoughts at one time. Yeah. But anyway.
20 episodes in, we're going to get them all out.
20 episodes in. So one of the things that I was thinking about as you were talking was, like, when you're providing the value and or when you are meeting people and you are trying to figure out what is the value that you can give them, a lot of times we miss out on opportunities because we don't vision. We have sight, but we have no vision. So for example, the sight might be, I'm in a carryout. I'm going to give y'all a realistic sight, okay? I'm in a carryout and I see somebody that's taking my order. Mm-hmm. But when you have vision like myself, I don't see the person that's taking my order. I see a business owner. I see somebody who is worth millions of dollars, who had just got this into, they are, did you know that a restaurant has one of the highest failure rates?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And for them to be able to be on this corner, whatever corner it is, especially those Chinese spots, because that's what I'm thinking about in my head right now. I'm thinking about a carry out, you know, but you are literally, I'm like, okay, this person has been in business for X amount of years since I've lived here or since I have moved out and came back, and they are still here. So that person that is taking my order, I can essentially form a business relationship with them, but how do I add that value to them? Mm-hmm. And this is the thing, we don't ask questions. The Bible says that you have not because you ask not. So when you are a person and you start to see vision, you just don't look around and you just see walls or whatever. When you actually have purpose and you start to have that vision, you start to envision and have questions that you can now formulate and say, you know what? Have you thought about expansion? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And because you don't ask, the opportunity never presents itself because you lack vision, because you don't know where you are going. So at the end of the day, what I'm ultimately saying is that we have opportunities all around us. And when we start to talk about collaborating, we're not saying just collaborate and just because they're your friend, or collaborate just because you feel like you just had this great idea. But number one, ask yourself, what is the value that I can provide to other people? That's number one.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I want you to finish. Get to number 2.
Okay. Number one is, what is the value that I can add to other people? Number 2 is how to actually formulate the questions where they can see the value in you as well. And I'm not saying that everybody is going to be able to actually see your value or see the vision, but you actually have to start to ask the question. So I would say number 2 is more so go out there and just start asking. Once you start asking particular questions, then obviously a conversation is going to be had, and they're going to see you if they actually need your service or they need whatever it is, that you are offering. Then you start to form that partnership, that relationship that can ultimately turn into, dollar bills and so on.
That's what I was getting into when he was touching on, like you said, we touch on a lot of topics and be like, ooh, light bulb goes off. I'm also like in the space of one, understanding what your value is. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't understand their own value. And once you learn your value and what you're actually talented at and good at, or whatever the case is, then that helps you deliver that to when you're trying to connect with these people. Like, what can I do? And if it's, and then people, I think, overlook their value, not understanding, like, if you a talker and you be talking forever, you could talk to anybody. That's a skill. A lot of people are shy and can't talk to people. Or are you a researcher? Are you a person that just, I can dive in and I can research anything and I can do all these things now, I can, deliver those to somebody, or whatever that value is that you have, understanding and knowing your value, what you bring to the table. That's how you can articulate that or deliver that to somebody, as far as that person that owns the carry out, and how you can expand it. Hey man, I see you guys on Google, but are you all, under these analytics, or you using this? I can bring you some more business, whatever it, may be, if we're using that topic. But I think that is one of the things, as far as like just coming in and knowing your value and how you can use your value to connect with theirs and put it all together also. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, I think the other thing I was going to segue y'all off is, like you was talking about mindset earlier. A lot of us have the mindset already that, like, oh, they don't want to talk to me, or they don't want to do this. And I'm not saying people aren't going to say no, because we know in real estate, you're one no away from a yes. But at the same time, that's life. You're one no away from a yes. So that person, that one may not want it, but the one next door may, or whatever the case is. But you're frequently these places all the time. Why not have a little conversation, or just see what happens? And it ain't got to be the person that owns the store. You can bump shoulders with somebody in the same aisle or whatever the case is and just connect. I think that's the whole thing of networking. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people, you don't want to talk to nobody. You don't want to bother nobody. Some things you just feel when it's time to talk, like speak to somebody or whatever the case is, and use it.
Yeah. I heard this podcast. She said, never let your feelings vote.
That's deep. Nah, that's life, relationship, business. Feelings hurt a lot of stuff. Like, get out your emotions and let the money grow. That'd be the thing. Yeah. Get out your emotions. So yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I experienced with that, when I didn't let my feelings vote, because a lot of times you don't feel like doing a lot of things. You don't feel like going to the gym. You don't feel like getting out your bed. You know what I'm saying?
This morning, man. Forgive me. The gym.
You don't feel like having this podcast right now. I do want to have this podcast, just to let y'all know out there. But I'm just saying, like, you cannot let your feelings outweigh the goal and and what you are trying to accomplish. So I say that because, when you are out there, especially at a networking event, like, let's just go back to that. Especially when you are out there trying to network with people, it's like, I don't feel like talking to them right now, and I don't feel like this.
You feel like still being in the same spot you in.
Clearly.
That's honestly what it is. That's what you don't feel like it, then feel like being where you at. So if you wake up every day and you're not happy where you at, then you need to feel like change. Something's got to give. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, you could be in the same boat. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Great things don't always just fall out the sky. So, you're going to have to change your mindset, though, because a lot of times we in our own way.
Yeah, we do.
We be in our own head thinking we be thinking people don't like us, or people think I'm mean, or thinking this or whatever, or thinking they mean. When in reality, what is it? Rest in RBF. Yeah, RBF. And I feel like a lot of women have RBF, but they be like, I'm the nicest person ever. Nobody talks to me. It'd be like, you just look a certain way, but you got, you know what I'm saying? You got to be bigger to say, you know what, who knows where a conversation is.
I feel like I have that. For whatever reason, I feel like I have that RBF, as you call it.
Yeah, we call it RBF for political reasons.
Yeah, and honestly, I hate the fact that, I don't know if it's me or if maybe I give off some type of energy or something, but I feel like, maybe, I don't know, but at the end of the day, I be having to talk to people. Seriously, I'm so serious. I be having to get out of whatever it is that I'm doing. People do not want to come over there and talk to me.
I think that's a lot of people in general, but women definitely a lot have RBF. It's like y'all thinking one thing, but your face saying another, and it just be like, don't bother. I'm the type, I'm going to go find out regardless. I don't care. A no is a no. It's just 2 letters to me. But a lot of people, that's not, they get the different look, they take it a different way. You know what I'm saying? But especially if I'm at a networking event. When we talk about networking and being at these events, especially when I'm hosting an event, everybody know I'm going to work the entire room. Mm-hmm. Everybody going to at least say, oh yeah, he at least spoke to me. He going to say hi, because I don't know, but I just going to my own networking event, I've collabed and met so many people in different places that just in the last few months have opened up doors that I would have never had. Like, these doors were not even, I wasn't even in that same building, let alone now. It's just like, doom, just by having a little simple, hey man, how you doing? I'm Jason. What you doing here? What you do?
Yeah.
And boom.
And I think, and you know what, if you have the RBF, as Jason calls it, that means you really have to do the work. You know what I'm saying? We don't like doing the work. I'm going to be honest with you. I would rather for people to just approach me, but because I have the RBF, I have to go out there and I have to talk to people. And guess what? People want to talk to me. People literally want to talk to me, but they are so scared. I don't know what it is, but they'd be so scared to talk to me. So anyway, so if you have that RBF, like Rihanna, you have to go out there and you have to talk to people, because like you said earlier, you are your own worst enemy, for real. Yeah. You are. You don't know what your face is giving, but it's giving something that people do not want to approach you with, and I be trying to smile. When I start smiling, I be like, all right, I'm doing a little bit too much. I didn't go hold you.
You like, I look fake smiling. Yeah. I don't look my genuine self. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm always cheesing and smiling, so I don't got the same problems as RBF you're having, but okay. I get it. It's a problem that that we all got to work on.
Yeah,
I think, and then it's just when you're in those environments that you're not comfortable with. But I will say, when you're going to these events, if you find something on Eventbrite or you find something online, or you just get invited to the right stuff. I have a gentleman that I met at the networking event. We talked a little bit. He came in. He was like, "Hey, are you collaborating with some other real estate group?" And I was like, "No." He was like, "Okay," but he's sending me a list of all of these different networks that he's like, yeah, I go to these. I'm trying to network with this, network that. So he didn't send me, I'm talking about where the mayor is going to be at, the different collaborations of medical people, different collaborations of council and stuff. He's like, are you going to this event? Every day I'm like, bro, I ain't going to make it to all of these events, but I'm appreciative that now I have this connection of he's just sending me events every week that I don't know where he's finding them from, but I'm able to say, you know what, maybe I can go in this room and just bump shoulders, say hello, and start expanding in those things. So, I mean, and I wouldn't have met him without having that simple, small conversation at an event.
Yeah, you made me also think about something too, because just as Jason was talking about the different events, mayors and stuff like that, I think it was on the radio or some other podcast where she said voting is not enough. Obviously, we're in the campaign market, right? So she said voting is not enough. You have to get involved. And when I think about networking now, it's not just about going to events and stuff like that too. It's about actually getting involved. Like, for example, I just understood, living, that you becoming a part of boards and chambers and, commerce and all of these different types of for realtors, we have the board of realtors, we have for your county or for your state or for whatever, getting involved with these different networks. And you will also be rubbing elbows with high network individuals, because who are on these boards? You have a lot of lawyers and doctors that are on these boards. So not only getting involved with networking and events and stuff like that, but we also have to get off of social media and start getting involved with, different boards and all of that.
No, I agree.
Yes.
I agree. I think that's the only way you can do. You got to get out of your circle. You got to get out of your small circle and get into your big circle, right? And the only way to do those things is finding different ways to meet new circles and get out of those. And even if it's just showing up, you'd be surprised. Even if you just go and you still don't want to talk to anybody, somebody may talk to you. And you will connect. That's like I said, this whole year I just attended different events and network. I've met so many different people to collab with that now you're expanding and getting your name out there and just, growing who you are. So I think that is the biggest thing, is getting out of your comfort zone, getting out of your head, and learning to network and, finding another way to grow.
So I'm going to leave you guys with this. This is something that I recently heard. I forget who said it, but she said that when you go out into these networking events, don't always talk to people who look like you. Sometimes you miss out on your biggest opportunities because you are only collaborating or talking to people who look just like you. So I want to leave you guys with that. So when you go out here into these rooms, try to talk to people who is different skin complexion, different hair texture, maybe dressed differently from you or whatever. But the goal is to meet different people and to expand your network. So
I agree, man. I agree. And that's episode 1 of the Social Net Worth Podcast. I'm Jason. This is Ronnie B. I want to say thank y'all for tuning in. And if you like this podcast and you like what we drop, just stay tuned for the next episodes that we'll put out. It's going to get better and better. We're going to collab with more features and people, man. We got a lot of stuff to drop. So that was the Social Net Worth Podcast.
Yes, and make sure that you guys like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Social Net Worth Podcast. We could be found on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify.
That's it, man. Y'all have a good one.